Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Weekly Shonen Jump Breakdown for the week of December 4th, 2017. I almost said January. My name is Trey, this is the Full Spectrum, and let's get started. So we start off the week with Blue Exorcist 96, Beyond the Snow Part 5, which was a pretty interesting chapter. I saw a lot of people throwing fits on discussion boards like L, Mal, and Reddit, talking about how Yukio had gone too far, and that how dare he shoot Rin, and all that fun stuff. But, honestly, he was gonna shoot himself already. He tried. Now he's got, control being exerted over him. And these wishes, these desires to be as popular as Rin, to be as liked as Rin, to be as carefree as Rin, have been building for a long time? Very clearly have been building for a long time. So it just seems weird to me to see everybody throwing a fit about this. Don't get me wrong. Shooting Ren is crossing the line for his character. But it's crossing a line that he already tried to cross when he tried to shoot himself. So I feel like people need to calm down a little bit and remember that Yukio is suicidal right now and is not in the right place. Does that excuse him for shooting his own brother? No. Rin doesn't excuse that either, though. So Rin is going to attempt to teach him a lesson. What is a much bigger issue here, and is being forgotten, is that Yukio used the power of his eye to block the sword strike and broke Rin's sword. And remember that Rin's sword contains his power. He's able to contain his power in the sword, so it doesn't overwhelm him. So my question is, with the breaking of the sword, is Rin going to go berserk? And his friends have to stop him. And if they do, obviously it means that Yukio gets to leave, and he's good to go, and he's safe, and everything's happy, I guess, for him. But he's going to regret these decisions that he's made. I don't want to see him easily forgiven, which is what I expect will happen, but I do want to see him dealing with the ramifications of the things that he's done. Because I think that's very important for Yukio as a character. Right now, he's in full the world hates me, I'm a terrible person, and there's nothing I can do about it mode. And I think eventually he's going to wake up from that and realize that, I've made a million mistakes. Can I get back the friendship from even one? And that's always a fun arc, in my opinion. I like that arc that a character goes through, where they make a whole bunch of mistakes, but they get further and further down that road and feel like they can't go back anymore. And then, boom, somebody brings them back, and now they have to live with that. I think that's always a really cool arc. The other cool thing here is Shima. Shima he's clearly gone beyond the line. Again, like Yukio has, Shima's gone too far in revealing himself now as part of the Illuminati to everybody. And it's basically over for him with his friends. He can't come back. I say that, he's probably also going to get forgiven, but, what can you do? It'd be a real twist, though, if he wasn't. He definitely would. He definitely would. But I enjoyed this chapter. It felt a little coincidental that right when they got to this very clearly epic bridge of confrontation that was physically and metaphorically linking the two brothers together, that was when Yu-Gi-Oh! Did it. It was like, okay, of course you did. Of course this metaphorical bridge of crossing the gap and bridging the two of you back together is where you would put your foot down. But hey, what can you do? I liked it, though. Looking forward to the next chapter. Next up is One Piece 887. Someone somewhere is wishing for your happiness. And I saw a comment on Roger Space review for this chapter that was, when I first read the title, I thought, oh, that's nice. And after finishing the chapter, now I cry. And that's absolutely true. So there's some really cool stuff in this chapter. Bega's ship is amphibious. Sanji kicks the cake up and Pudding just nosebleeds back. It was a really interesting first half of the chapter. Chiffon gets to be reunited, and her son's so happy to see her, and Bega's happy to see her, and everything's going great there. And then the second half of the chapter kicks in. Pound, man. Pound was a joke when he got introduced. He was a joke when he got introduced. He was asking for juice. He was buried to his neck in the seducing woods. There was nothing about him that said he would be an important character. But in this arc about family and about parentage and about what it means to be a parent, he's so vital. Because we have Big Mom, who's a terrible parent to most of her kids. She's already killed, 2 of her children? And sent Lola away? And then was really mean to Chiffon? And taunted Pudding about her eye? Then you have Judge, who's proven already to be a horrible father. And then you have Pound. And Pound, to protect his kid, hits Oven across the head with a piece of wood, with a spar, even though he knows that Oven's going to kill him. He gets to see his grandson. He does a little wave. His grandson's freaking out. He's super happy. And he tightens his tie. And then Oven kills him. And I saw a lot of people talking about how it was possible somebody else had interacted, and the blood on the sword was blood from somebody else having stabbed Oven. And it's possible, but I don't think so. The way that's written, I think Pound is dead. And if he is, then that is a poetic death on par, in my opinion, with Dr. Hudaduke, which is the highest praise that I can give a character death, in my opinion. Because Dr. Hudaduke is still my favorite death in all of anime. And to have Pound, of all people, go that far for his child, that's exactly... I'm getting choked up. That's exactly what you want to see. And it was great. It was absolutely amazing. We round off the chapter, though, with Big Mom finding the Straw Hats. What does that mean for Luffy? Is he still running? Did he get back into the mirror? Is he going to fight Katakuri some more? And how are the Straw Hats going to get away? I mean, they have Jinbei, but they're out of cola now. So, this is going to be interesting as Capone's ship and the Straw Hat ship, the Sunny, are coming together with the cake to give it to Big Mom. This arc has gotten so much more out of control than I ever thought it could. And I can't wait to see how it ends. Next up, we have My Hero Academia 162, Suitable One. So, All For One had another person he was raising up to be a great villain. Gigantomachia. It's a cool idea, for sure. It just seems a little out of character for him to go for somebody that big and that dumb. From what looks of it, it's possible he's super smart. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like he was pretty dumb. He's probably very powerful, and he's probably going to be very helpful to the Villain Society. The League of Villains? That's it, not Society. You're thinking of the Monster Society, Trey, from One Punch Man. But it just seems a little weird, because All For One has seemed to always be about, Machiavellian schemes. And this is the opposite of that, unless it's Machia is just a tool for the Machiavellian schemes. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out more about him and the stuff with Gran Torino, hopefully, or it'll just get swept under the rug and we'll find out about it in 20 chapters. Deku going to check on Mirio, and Mirio trying desperately to pump himself up, while also telling Deku to smile. Deku offering him one for all. And Mirio just going, don't want it. And I can't imagine the strength that must have taken. Strength of will of Mirio to be able to say, don't want it. Oh, man. I love Mirio Togata so much. He's such a good character. Mirio tells Deku he did a good job. Keep smiling. Like Sir wanted. All Might's out in the hallway, just fist on the wall, having overheard. And Deku tells him he'll be waiting for him. And then it's Todoroki and Bakugo's provisional license course time. So that could be pretty interesting. We'll see how that turns out. But, if Bakugo can calm down enough to be able to focus, because he looked pretty upset. And if Todoroki can put up with Bakugo long enough to get his own. It's going to be interesting next couple chapters now that we're finally out of the the overhaul arc. But, we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. I have really high hopes that the story will continue to impress me. Like it has in just about every arc so far. Next up, we have Dr. Stone 38, Master of Flame. Crumb did it. The psychotic, crazy genius. He did it. He filled that lens with sweat and tears to pinpoint the light. And he did it. And he didn't do it by himself. Senku does the math in a very impressive... It's probably my favorite math scene in all of manga. It was very impressive. And Gen Asagiri, who of course showed up at the end of last chapter to watch, decides to help out. Because how's he going to get his cola if they lose here? And he hexes Magma, and that was pretty cool. The acting worked perfectly. Magma waits out the time limit. Chrome, with a very Ippo face, just lights the clothes on fire. And then, of course, as soon as Magma goes to pat it out, he gives the flame all the oxygen it needs. And he just... And then Chrome gets to hit him in the, in the balls, right where he wanted to. Push him off into the river. Good job, Chrome. Chrome wins! Very excited to see how this all turns out. As we said, I like Chrome a lot as a character, and I think that him and Rory is a good combination. And I just want them to wind up together because I'm a filthy shipper. Next up, we have Black Clover 136, A Surging Advance. We get to see Kirsch again, and he's turned over a new petal, as it were. Noelle's a little bit of a brat this chapter, but hey, it's fine. Luck wants to brag to Magma, Magna, and Magna. 2 chapters back to back with characters with very similar names. And Kirsch is just amazing in this chapter. It looks like some inking got missed here, though, because the whole section where Asta and Zora are following Mereoleona and not getting to fight anything and being like, yeah, show me what you got, and then not actually getting to fight. Every third page there is just not inked at all. And I couldn't help but notice that. I thought that was really weird. Maybe they just got busy. I don't know. The ones that were inked looked really cool, and the ones that weren't inked also looked really cool. But it was the dichotomy of them against each other that made me go, okay. Because some of the characters look a little bit different when they're not inked. Specifically Zora. Looks a lot different when he's not inked. But, it's fine. The doppelganger thing happens, which so often happens when you're attacking somebody's base, where somebody pretends to be one of you and makes a copy of you, and they're side by side. And Mereoleona just burns both the doppelganger and Asta. She doesn't care. The doppelganger winds up being Raya, the living Sharingan, as I've dubbed him. He tries to copy Yami's magic, because he's like, I'll use the most powerful magic I've seen against you. And Mereoleona breaks it, and it's like, it's nowhere near as powerful as his is. And, takes him out. I think that the idea of a living Sharingan is really cool in a world where magic is what everybody uses, and unique magic, being able to copy all that. I think that it was used very poorly here. It was used as a gag, and Raya is not a very good character, in my opinion. I don't know what you're thinking. You're probably, well, it's not technically a gag, but it basically is. Because the whole point is supposed to be that Mereoleona is super strong, and that Raya can't copy Yami's magic accurately. But they could have proven this point by having Asta jump forward, and, locking blades with the Yami blade that he created out of magic, and then having Asta thrown back, and have, Zora go to lay a trap or something on the ground underneath Raya, and Raya to just Kirsch away or something, and then have Mereoleona come in. Because just having him immediately defeated, it makes it seem like his powers are worthless, and in that world his powers should be super good. And I get that, he's had his time to shine before, Raya's been seen before doing stuff, being cool, but I don't ever feel like he was utilized well, and I don't ever feel like we really got to know him. So, I don't know. It just immediately hit me as, oh, okay. And maybe the fight's not over. Maybe she hit him really hard, but he's not done. There was some really cool character interaction where he was like, well, if you weren't who you were, then, I'd ask you out and we'd go get a drink together. And she was like, I wouldn't accept. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. But I don't know. I focus too much on character development sometimes, I feel like. But. Next up, we have Food Wars 242, A Single Blade. And talking about character development, we got some character development today. We get to see some more of Saito and why he sided with Azami. And of course he sided with Azami for his mother's sake. Of course he did. It makes perfect sense. We also get to see Yukihira-style toasted butter pilaf inari sushi, which as soon as he opens the oven, the smell is so intoxicating that all three judges are on the edge of their seats. He made his own mochi sauce to prevent it from being too heavy with all the butter. It makes perfect sense. And then sprinkle in cheeses to salt it just enough to keep it from being too much. It's pretty good. And Saito gets all fired up and asks Soma, how? How did you learn how to do this? How did you get this good? And he explains he knew from the start that just one strike wouldn't be enough. So when Soma was saying, of course, like we talked about last week, when Soma was saying that this might be too much, he wasn't talking about Saito. He was talking about his own dish, just like we expected. Fully expected him to pull it off this week. I actually expected it to not be as well explained as it was, but the explanation was extremely satisfying. It makes perfect sense. Butter is very heavy when used too much, and he lightened it up. That's exactly what he did. So, sure. Sounds great to me. It passes my measly culinary knowledge and makes me go, okay, yeah, that was pretty clever. But Saito, of course, is excited to fight him again sometime, I'm sure. We also get that really cool frame of, in Saito's mind, Soma's blade being broken as he goes to draw it, because Saito hit first. But then in Soma's mind, the blade coming from every direction to hit Saito, because he's striking with more than one hit, with all the hits of his dish. But yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I could do with more samurai and boxing references in this manga in the future. That's all I'm saying. Next up, we have Robot Laserbeam 36, Last Day of the Daizon Open Part 2. Robo's out of it. He's out of bounds. He's out of his element. He's out of luck. Because when Dorian lands it in the sand and gets a fried egg, he blasts it out in an explosion of sand that breaks his own club in the process. It's over. Unless Robo can calm himself down, it's over, because he psyched himself out now. And I don't know if it's that he psyched himself out because he's not as strong as Dorian is, or if he psyched himself out because they're friends. But either way, he psyched himself out, and it's over if he can't turn it around. I'm leaning towards the first one, because there's a moment where Robo says that if he wins, he wants to buy weights to get stronger, because he knows he couldn't do that. Dorian just destroyed the sand. Like a hand grenade. I'm leaning on that as the reason why he's so psyched out, because he feels like he's inadequate strength-wise. But Robo should realize that skill is what's important. And I'm hoping somebody tells him that, because Yamamoto makes the comment that it's tough to play against rowdy players like Dorian, because it throws off your focus, and that's exactly what is happening with Robo. Dorian's so stoked he flexes and rips his pants. And as much as I love Dorian as a character, I feel like we've gotten some of the worst gags from Dorian, while also getting some of the best gags from Dorian. I don't know, it just feels weird, because the gag of, like, him not being able to speak great Japanese, sure, that's fine. Him lifting the car, we talked about it at the time, it was, whatever, it's fine. Him, using a door frame to lift himself, yeah, that's fine. The flexing all the time, sure, why not? The ripping the pants, yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't have any big complaints with that, but I want Dorian to be a more... I was about to say flexible, that's not the right word. More in-depth character than just the big, strong guy. And so far, that's all he's really getting. He's the big, strong, nice guy. He's the big guy of the party, to use TV tropes. And, I want him to be a little bit more than that. That's all. I really like to find out that his caddy was just this little lady. He's like, you should use this one. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have faith that Robo can pull it around, but if not, Dorian's going to take it. Next up, we have We Never Learned 42. A genius and the surface of the water reflect only X. This is a Takamoto chapter. We start off with the gag on the back of the cover page. That's really good, in my opinion. It's a gag about cup sizes, like almost all Furuhashi gags are. But it was an interesting one because it also called back to the ghost comments, and how Ogata's afraid of ghosts, and how Furuhashi, as her friend, was not going to say anything until they started talking about cup sizes. And she's like, oh, look, a ghost. So, that was pretty cool. I like callback jokes. That's really fun, in my opinion. This whole chapter is about Takamoto and how, while she's swimming, she's a different person, basically. She's completely professional. She's 100% focused. She doesn't let anything stop her. But her classmate, her teammate, Ikeda, makes a mistake. And it cost them the relay that they were looking forward to so much. And, Yuiga is worried for her. So he shows up and he pulls her away. And she had told him not to come because she'd be too nervous if he was there. And so he kind of hides in the bleachers. But he pulls her away. And they have this conversation. And for the first time, we had a real conversation with Takamoto that didn't have to do with her studies and didn't have to do with her crush. And that was really good, in my opinion. Because so often we have one of three conversations with each of the girls. Their studies, their crush, or if they have a crush, or anything like that. And then a gag. And so last chapter, obviously, was the Kurisu chapter. The chapter before that was the Furuhashi chapter. And the Asami chapter as well. All of those had conversations about actual problems the girls were facing. And even the Ogata chapter, as much as it was a gag, also had to do with the issue of it was actually a problem, that she's horrified. So I really appreciated that. I say too much. I just noticed that. It's going to haunt me now. I really liked that we had that focus. And to then also cut to the third years who are crying, because of course they are. This was their last chance. To then cut back to Takamoto saying that she can't cry until it's all done. And yeah, that's really good. And then, of course, we end the chapter with her asking Yuiga to spend some time with her tonight. I'm expecting a restaurant or a cafe. I'm expecting the arcade. Of course, you know where Yuiga's mind went immediately, but hey, he's a guy. I can't blame him. Very much looking forward to the next chapter. I want to see which direction this arc goes with Takamoto. And I'm also expecting that we could easily be misdirected next week. And it'd be the first couple pages with him and Takamoto, and there'd be a whole different characters chapter. When it comes to characters that need chapters, I think everybody's been getting a pretty good spread now. Furuhashi was the one who really needed one, and she got one, so. I don't know. We need a Yuiga chapter. We haven't had one of those in a while. Next up is The Promised Neverland 66, The Forbidden Game Part 1. I love this premise so much. The demon's preparing to hunt. Grand Duke Luvis, and how he just wants to hunt a human that wants to fight back, that has a desire to kill. He wants it to go back to the good old days, when it was one-on-one, or one-on however many, as the humans were desperately fighting for their lives, and he was desperately fighting to kill them. He wants a fight. And Emma's going to give him that fight. She threw that axe so well, too, and he just barely catches it with the tips of his fingers right before it kills that other demon. He's like, oh, man. This arc is going to be good. I expect all these other kids to die, though. I expect Ray and the Nameless Man to show up to save Emma, but I expect all these other kids to die. Emma saves 3 of them, even though they were willing to, it looked like anyway, they were about to give up one of their own. And one of them, the older brother, was going to give up both of his younger siblings because he was too scared to fight. And it's easy to judge somebody like that, but that's a horrifying situation when you didn't know monsters existed. And I really liked that conversation that Emma had with that other kid that had tried to save her, that she's the only one, they're the only ones, I guess, who know. That all these other kids have no idea what the monsters are, and this is their first time seeing the demons. That they've lived believing the whole lie of the farms and everything, that it's just a happy family and everything's fine and the outside world's fine. They've never seen a demon before. So for them, the world is shattered. The world is different than what it was supposed to be. And they don't know how to cope with it. And so Emma showing up is the only thing that saved them. There's also a really cool moment where Emma realizes that this is where that man lost all his friends. And we see later on, Luvis recognizes not just that Emma knew how to kill the demons, but that that's what she was aiming for. And he smiles and says the last time he had this much fun, that group was here, and we get to see clearly that man in his group. So, I'm very excited to see this arc. This arc is very promising, because that man wants to find out what's going on at Goldie Pond with what Minerva left. Emma and Ray want to find out what's going on at Goldie Pond with what Minerva left. And now they have a reason to work towards that together. And I really want to see that man fight Luvis. I think that would be really cool, because I'm betting Luvis is the one who killed most of his friends. But very excited, very excited. And we end off this week with Seraph of the End 63, Proof of Being Human. We get some jokes from Mika about killing Gurren, trying to hide how much he actually wants to. And then we get a really good conversation between Mika and you. This is what we needed for them. They needed to have this conversation so that they could still be on the same page moving forward. And yeah, we get the joke about drugs can make people feel better, but the actual conversations about Gurren and about Akane and about family and being human, which neither of them really are anymore, but their hearts still are. You know, they still think as if they were human. And they shake hands on being human. You, the man with a demon in his sword that wants to take over his body, and an angel's horn, a trumpet that is, and Mika the vampire. They're not strictly human anymore, but they can still think like humans, and they still want to believe like humans. And you just want to tell Akane that they're family. That's all he cares about at this point. No matter what he has to do to bring them back, he'll do it. And Gurren knows far too much and says far too little for Mika, but what can they do? They have to trust him because he's the only one they can. So they enter into this barrier with a 6th trumpeter in it. He's been summoning the Horsemen of the World for 8 years. Sorry. For 8 years. And you finally ask, what am I? This question's come a little late, but I feel like being in the presence of another trumpeter has led to this question, because it makes him finally reflect on what he is and who he is. But I very much enjoyed this chapter. Thought it was really good. Looking forward to the next one. So we will end it off this week with the lightning round. Blue Extras 96 Beyond the Snow Part 5. Really good chapter. It was, a little metaphorical with the bridge and everything, but I still appreciated, Yukio finally going off the rails the rest of the way after he tried and failed once. If you can't derail the train the first time, then just keep going, right? Good chapter. Very much enjoyed it. One Piece 887, Somewhere is wishing for your happiness. 2 thumbs up. Pound D, pound. My man, you were a true dad. Thank you, sir. Thank you. My Hero Academia 162, suitable one. Good chapter. I really enjoyed it, actually. Everything with the conversation between Mirio and Deku was really good, and it was great. I loved it. Dr. Stone 38, Master of Flame. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gin, magic. Senku, science. Chrome, tenacity. 2 thumbs up. Black Clover 136, A Surging Advance. I'm going to give this one dead even. I love seeing everybody working together, but I felt like Raya was completely wasted. And the Living Sharingan didn't get to do anything, really. Food Wars 242, A Single Blade. Good chapter. I appreciated it. It was fun. I liked the character development. Good chapter. Robot Laserbeam 36, Last Day of the Daizon Open Part 2. Good chapter. I had to decide there in a split second. The scene of the fried egg and breaking the club, that was all pretty cool. And everybody's reaction to it, even if it was a little crazy. But I liked it. It was a good chapter. We Never Learned 42, A Genius and the Surface of the Water Reflect Only X. Good chapter. Really good Takamoto chapter. Really appreciated it. The Promised Neverland 66, The Forbidden Game Part 1. Great chapter. Luvis is amazing. He's such a cool designed demon, and his whole thing of wanting to hunt a tiger instead of a rabbit, like that's 2 thumbs up. Really good. Seraph of the End 63, Proof of Being Human. The story's really complicated, but I still really like this chapter. Because Mika and you just having that conversation alone was enough for me to love this chapter. So, all in all, this was a pretty good week for Jump. My name's been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Jump has to offer.